Good afternoon, Kenny with you for a look at the NFL Week 4. Another exciting week of NFL action coming up. In fact, I got my little book here. This is what I read when I'm in traffic in Phoenix. You got all sorts of pages here. And interesting, I went through about 637 pages in this book between Tuesday and Friday, and it was hard to find a detailed description of a game that had 18 penalties against one team, but we're not going to talk about that anymore. Everybody knows exactly what happened there. On to our picks, starting in San Diego for the, at least here anyway, Arizona Cardinals are getting 8 points at San Diego. Cardinals escaped losing at home last week with Janikowski for Oakland missing a 31-yard field goal. I don't see him staying close against the Chargers. If they do, so be it. We're going to take San Diego, giving up 8. By the way, I'm 28-17-3 against the point spread on the year. This season, last week, I was 12-4. You know how they say you don't want to peak in September. I'm thinking that's probably going to be my difficulty here, but let's see what happens down the road. Tennessee, 6.5-point favorites at home against Denver. I think the Titans are going to win, but I'm going to go Denver here. The Broncos kind of hung around the Colts at home last week before losing 27-13. Tennessee had a nice win at the New York Giants. For me, this just feels like one of those games that Tennessee wins 20-17 or 24-20. So I'm going to try Denver with the points, even though I think Tennessee is going to win. Pittsburgh Steelers at home, 2.5-point favorites over Baltimore. The Ravens last week beat Cleveland by 7. Steelers, of course, riding high, 3-0. Steelers giving up 2.5 points. And I'm going to go Baltimore in this game. I think the Ravens are going to surprise some people, and maybe the Steelers are due for loss number 1 on the year. Cincinnati Bengals are 3-point favorites at Cleveland. Big interstate rivalry there. Bengals won easily on the road last week at Carolina. And the Browns hung around Baltimore, losing by 7. Upset special number 1 for me here. I guess Baltimore would be considered an upset as well. I'm going to try the Browns getting their first win of the year as 3-point dogs. Green Bay Packers are 14.5-point favorites at home against Detroit. Best, the running back for the Lions, has been injured, banged up. Detroit lost by 14 at Minnesota last week. It's really kind of hard to gauge, and especially with such a large point spread. I'll just take a Packers win, and I think most Packer fans at this point, given what happened Monday night, would say we don't really care what the score is going to be, just win the game. But of course, I never pick against the Packers, so we're going to have to lay the 14.5. Hope for another blowout at Lambeau coming up tomorrow. New Orleans Saints are 13.5-point favorites at home against Carolina. I'm trying to find a reason to try to take the Panthers and the points, but I think the Saints are going to be angry about that loss in overtime at home to Atlanta last week, and this is going to be their payback time. They're going to take it out on somebody, and it's going to be Carolina. So I'm going to lay the 13.5 points against the Panthers. In a little different story, though, Atlanta, the Falcons return home after beating the Saints. They're 7-point favorites at home against San Francisco. Say, the Niners, are they ever going to get it together? Well, if they are, this is going to be the week. I think the Falcons will win, but it might be a closer game than a lot of people think. Riding high after that win, emotional victory over the Saints. We're going to lay the 7 and try the Niners, and if the Niners get blown out again, I'm never picking them again. One more time for Frisco. As we turn the page here, just like Bob Seger, sorry about that. Let's see, we got Seattle 1-point favorites at the St. Louis Rams. And the Rams looked good at home against Washington last week with a win. Seattle, they needed 2 kickoff return for touchdowns against the Chargers, and then they hung on for dear life to win that game last week up in Washington. I'm going to try the Rams at home beating Seattle, and the Rams just 1-point underdogs. Another upset special. I don't know if they're going to win, but I'm going to try the Buffalo Bills getting 5.5 points at home against the New York Jets. The Jets have had 2 big wins in the last couple of weeks against New England and Miami, their primary divisional opponents. Now they go on the road. Buffalo's 0-3. They're looking for a win, but they played pretty well against New England last week, losing, I believe it was 38-30. So this is one of those games, hey, maybe Buffalo can squeak out win number 1 or hang around, lose by 3. So we're going to try the Bills getting 5.5. Jacksonville Jaguars at home are 7-point underdogs to the Colts. again, I'm not going against Peyton Manning unless it's obvious the Colts have run into some sort of problem. It's going to take a fumble return, kickoff return, something for Jacksonville to stay close. They looked horrible against Philadelphia last week. They lost 28-3. We're going to lay the 7 with the Colts. Houston Texans 3-point favorites at Oakland. Houston had their down game last week. I was smart enough to see it coming. The Cowboys needed a win in a bad way, and they went in and they spanked the Texans by 14. Here, Houston, similar to New Orleans, they're angry and they're going to take it out on someone. The Raiders still have to be stunned about losing that game in Arizona last week with a missed field goal. The Texans only giving up 3. Take the Texans in a big way. Philadelphia Eagles 5.5-point favorites at home against Washington. Donovan McNabb coming back for the Redskins. A lot of people are saying the Redskins don't stand a chance, but I'm not 100% on Michael Vick. Yeah, he's had 2 good games. I've heard some guys on Sports Talk Radio this week say, you know, he played the second half against the Packers when the game was nearing a blowout, and then he had a good game against Detroit, and people are wondering if the Lions have much of a defense. And he looked pretty good against a downtrodden Jacksonville team. So let's see what he can do against Washington. I'm going to try McNabb and the 5.5 points. Don't know if the Redskins are going to win the game, but we're going to try the points there. New York Giants Sunday night 3.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bears. Bears unbeaten. Talk of the Giants season falling apart. For some reason I have difficulty, unless they're trying to make the storyline be that the Giants are in a team in complete disarray in the New York market. Since the Giants were blown out by the Colts 2 weeks ago on Sunday night, they're going to save their season on prime time. The Bears will get loss number 1, and we're going to go the Giants giving up 3.5. And your Monday night game, it's New England, a 1-point favorite at Miami. The Dolphins were in prime time last Sunday night against the Jets. They lost that one. Say, well, maybe same rules apply. Are they going to beat New England? I don't think so. The Patriots are favored by 1. If I'm wrong, so be it. But look for the Patriots to win, to go to 3-1, and Miami to drop to 2-2. And if you got the Bills upsetting the Jets, then you got the Jets back at 2-2. Otherwise, you got a nice little race there in the AFC East between the Jets and the Patriots at 3-1. So good luck to you, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. Now I got to get back to page 427.